Hi, everybody. So Brad and I are here doing the next installment of the Ascension series. And this is kind of linked up to our Mastering Ascension program that we're doing. And you'll be able to find the links below. And it's really cool. So go ahead, Brad.
You're just like, so hi, honey. Hi, everybody. Like how you're just like, so it's kind of linked up to our Mastering Ascension.
Yes, I'm
That
very
kind of
passionate.
sounds like a Simpsons character there, like Disco Stew doesn't advertise. But love, levity, liberty, especially now in the 5D, where we are fifth density, fifth dimensional levity, laughter, and its expression of love, right? When you do something funny, even if if everybody thinks like, Brad, you're funny, that wasn't funny. That's good. No worries, because it just is, right? We have to. I heard a while ago, and I love this saying, ego means edging God out. I'm like, that is amazing, right? And for all of you, if you're brand new, I've been a Reiki master for nearly a decade, practicing receiving Reiki for 22 years. And I think it's the ultimate form of warriorism, because being the guy who went into the Canadian Army to, shoot machine guns and fire, rocket launchers and grenades. And I did all that. And I threw grenades and I fired the launchers. It's far more better being a divine masculine or a feminine warrior of light. And that light stands for love, levity, and that's our liberty. And now we have that freedom that Honey and I have been sharing with an amazing community, from our NASARA alumni to Ascension Mastery members now. And that community also resounds back in and of itself, this resonant vibration, right? And we're talking about being superhuman now. And
Yes.
it's not a thing that is unattainable, is it?
No, it's happening. It's happening now. They're starting to do things that they never have done before, including me, like things I never thought were possible. And also knowing things I never thought were possible. So it's really a beautiful thing.
We'll throw out one or two examples, since you just kind of teased it. You went, even including me. And then you just kind of like dismissed it. Like, hang on a
Well,
second.
I never thought that I would
There's
receive.
going to be comments anyway, like, what, honey, what was it? I've watched 47 minutes, but back in minute 3, you said this, but you never gave us what?
Yeah, that's how I do stuff.
Okay. All right. That's fine. We keep each other in check. This is a great divine, masculine, feminine partnership, Ascension Mastery here. So, okay. What are you noticing? What are one or two things? Even me.
Well, I never got grids before. So I've, been able to download grids on how to tell your body how to ascend, how to connect the crystalline body to the carbon-based body. Like, there's so many things that have come in that I've never been able to do before. And that's part of Ascension. Also beginning to remember what's happening at night in the astral plane. And usually that will start as dreams. Like, for a long time, it was just blank. I didn't have any dreams. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm having dreams again. And now I can see like some of the grid patterns up there. And so it's been a lot of fun. So that's some of the things that I'm learning how to do.
Well, I'd like to, because you deserve a lot of credibility for this, because I've been on the receiving end of some of the great healings you've delivered, as well as hundreds of people in our community. So I would like to share, right? So if anybody doesn't know, and you're just tuning in now, Honey is an incarnated angel here at this time. And some of the stuff that she's just tuned in for me, hey, Brad, how's it going? Da, da, da. Ah, yeah. And she goes, hang on a second. Would you like to? You always ask, right? Reiki, you always ask. By herself, they'd like, yes, thank you. And she goes, okay, it's taken care of. Case in point for those keyboard warriors, hands off keyboard for a second. I'm going to give you the answer. It was the very first time, and I was up in Redcliffe. I was about to go for a ski, right, just down from you, and you're asking how it's going. I'm like, oh man, I'm just not feeling it in this house that I'm staying at. Some stuff going on, energetically, and you went, It's because of this, and this. That was private, by the way, everybody. So that's why I'm not telling you this and this and this. But I went from, feeling some congestion, and I'm a very healthy person. I have some great nutrition and stuff that I take, but feeling the congestion and whatnot. And she goes, instant. And the health and the wealth grids that you delivered to our last Nasara, Miro Nasara 3, I think we saw more people came out with endorsements, testimonials, and actual more verifiable results quicker as a result of it. So back to the grids that you've been able to tap into has been amazing. And these are gifts, which we're going to see for everybody come in a lot stronger, depending on who you are. If you're clairaudient versus clairvoyant, clairsentient, you name it.
Yeah. And everybody has their gift. It's just like we have to fit together like a puzzle. So mine is energy, like moving energy and doing things with energy. And recently it's been more about grids and like patterns and stuff, but it's been a lot of fun. So look forward to the fun coming in. All you do is clear things away that you don't need, and the good stuff comes in.
Cool. End of show. Thank you. That was a great Ascension series. Supernatural. Here we go.
No, we're going to talk about all the stuff that you have prepared.
Don't go clear something and jump off a building thinking you can fly right now. This is not that.
No. That's just limiting beliefs. You want to clear those. Yep.
Yeah. We'll get into some verifiable stuff as well as historic, which has been shared with us, which has been again in front of our face, but we kind of took it as imaginary instead of being real, and now we're seeing that being real. I'll talk about remote viewing. So I've been, for example, for anybody who doesn't know remote viewing, this is the ability for you to get into a meditative state and send out your consciousness to a point in the time, in the past, present, or future, and a location, and you can see, some people hear, clairaudient, right? Smell, taste, touch, kinesthetic, the event. And then you come back and you record the event. Some people sketch it, they write out what it is they saw, sensed, touched, felt, you name it, or it just came to them, immediately as a download. Well, I went there and I got all this at once. And so I've been fortunate to have had training 4 days in a small group environment from Michael Jaco. Maybe doesn't know that name. I won't repeat it here because of the platform, not Rumble. Doesn't like that name repeated multiple times.
Yes.
So with that, that's a fact. And that's a fact to a point where there's actually governments around the world who employ today, 2023, people in the military and intelligence agencies who do remote viewing and remote influencing. And these are programs well documented, which go back half a century. Likely go back far, far further, but for anybody who, wants to just look at concrete stuff.
Yep.
So that is a supernatural capability. And the definition, by the way, of supernatural, I have it here, pulled it up for this, is of or relating to existence outside the natural world. B is attributed to a power that seems to violate or go beyond natural forces. Or C, of or relating to a deity. That's the definition of supernatural. What I just described fits those first two definitions of outside natural forces. And what that is picking up. I'll share one more moment to that and then turn it back to Honey. I'm just watching this beautiful pink, blue, as you might say, magenta and periwinkle sky as a sun setting from where I am right now. It's so gorgeous. I'd love to turn this around and show everybody. We've got it to talk about supernatural. And just recently I had a show with a certain reader. Let's just say again, they look at cards and they go, this is what's happening. And I'd ask a question. It was a live stream. And ask some questions. And often when I get something picked up, when we do a show, I say, well, this is what I feel as the answer to the question as I ask it for the audience. What do you get? And most times she was like, it's almost like you're reading my cards. And I'm not getting a picture in my mind of reading cards or whatnot. It's just this beautiful feeling of this is the answer to what we're getting, and other people too. So those abilities are happening a lot more common for me. And we know other people, as we've read in the signal chat recently on the Mastering Ascension members, the dream state is more like the awakened state of the things that have been coming to them and they've been sharing with one another.
Yeah. Because really this is the dream. And we're creating this reality so that we can learn, but also the purpose of it now is to grow up the human consciousness so that it can be its own being. So like the Pleiadians have an oversoul, they have many oversouls, and then they have higher selves or single souls that come down, and they're creating their own thing. Like they have their own resonance. Yeah. And humanity has been robbed of that until now. So that's why we're here and we're ascending the human body. So that's the whole purpose of it, is to take the consciousness to that reality of being its own being. Yeah. Instead of a vessel.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you remember Care Bears, that cartoon as
yes,
kids,
let's
right?
talk about them.
So Care Bears was disclosure. And some of you might be like, what? Brad, I watch talking about cosmic disclosure. What are you talking about? All right. And spiritual warfare. Incredible. So here's the thing. And yes, I went back, and when you do research, you want to make sure you go through that. So, and yes, I watched Care Bears episode today. In fact, it was a Thanksgiving episode about 3 decades ago. So this is interesting, right? Spiritual warfare. The leader, the dark leader, is named No Heart. And the minion that carried out the biddings of No Heart is called Sour Sam. And what did they do? They had weaponized food. And they were in the form, this is an American Thanksgiving episode. So up in Carolot, which is their home in the clouds in the heavens, Graham's Care Bear was making yummy apple pies. And when one of the bears came down to take care of a human on Earth, there was a smell of apple pies, but Sour Sam was driving around the town handing out crappy pies. And the moment the people of the town would eat these pies, they would get sick, angry, and run indoors and never want to come outside. And then they were sick and angry. Oh, what happens indoors is you're also not in light. Mm-hmm. If you haven't seen our Ascension series part 2, 5D, check out what Honey and I share about light versus dark there. Probably no stretch for most of you very awakened souls watching this right now. So they live in Carolot in the clouds in a very heavenly setting. They come down to Earth to help. Now here are the names, and Hugs and Tugs are the twins. And then they have the Good Luck Bear, the Wish Bear, the Cheer Bear, the Bedtime Bear, the Love a Lot Bear, the Sunshine Bear, the Togetherness Bear, Brave Heart, Wonder Heart, Tender Heart, Lots of Heart. It goes on, Share Bear. Real interesting. And so whenever the darkness comes in, what do? From the light activation in their heart and their power center, they send out, what do they send out, honey? Tell everybody.
Love. Care Bears unite. They send out love.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So how does this relate, Brad, to Care Bears cartoon stories? Okay, they send out love. If any of you have read the Ringing Cedars series with Anastasia, Okay. And by the way, we're then going to go into some other stuff. Anastasia, Ricardo Bossi was amazing. You had an amazing show on with him. Just in case of the platform that's not Rumble on, we won't restate his name. And hopefully, who knows, for the moment.
Shanti did an amazing series with him.
Incredible
with
series.
all of that, yeah.
Incredible. I'm going to show the book series that are here as we refer to it, because in the book series, this Pleiadian woman walks around, born in the Siberian forest, right? There's a couple of them. I've read 11 of the series. I think it goes up 12 or so, because you have like an 8.1, an 8.2 and whatnot. Anastasia has the ability to send out rays of light, and she has the ability to remote view. So here's a cover for one of the original books, Anastasia. Amazing, right? And then she has an orb that comes and protects her. We don't want to give away the whole series. Do you want to mention your experience with the series relating to supernatural capabilities we all have, honey?
Well, I just love the series. I've reread the first one recently, but really it's describing everything that's happening now and the power of the tree. The trees are basically they're like a sword of light. So they're really giving you the ability, if you're next to a tree, to have more light within you and more knowledge. And there's so much packed in that tree. So there's that. There's all kinds of messages in there. But basically, she can talk to the animals. She can manipulate energy. She's never cold. She's just wearing a little tiny, barely there clothing in the wintertime. So she's truly amazing. But that is where we're going.
Yeah, Wim Hof's got nothing on Anastasia and her race. And when let's talk about trees for a second. So again, go back to biblical, right? Greatest omnipresence and divinity. God, the all-knowing Father and Mother, created man and woman to have dominion over the earth, the plants, the animals, the fish, the birds, the sky, the you name it, right? And by virtue of that, then they're actually all to be here for us, to nourish us as we move forward, we create, we evolve together. So the tree of life, and then we look at the trees there as well. And those trees are incredibly powerful. They're extremely large, almost like Tartarian trees, right? Like that certain Devil's Tower, massive large. We covered a little bit of that in our very first Ascension series show. So now you have these benevolent beings where they're unaffected by cold. They have an ability to remote view and speak to animals, snaps her fingers, and the squirrels bring the nuts so she can eating the blades of grass. They're good. The bears take care of them. Maybe it's a stretch or not. But when we look at indigenous cultures, we have had indigenous cultures in current time that have had communication with animals. For example, there's one culture in America where they had talked about, when they pass the history down, it's all verbal, right? And they pass history that way, not in a written word, like you're pounding out on tablets. There's a historian in the nation, like Hoka Wichatcha from the Lakota Horse Nation, has been on my show. I've been so blessed, did ceremony, and he's the last survivor of the residential school in the States in '93, and went through his healing journey, and now a historian of over 15,000 years of his nation. When you look at that, another nation had said the way that we would go out and hunt and find the animals was we wouldn't go out for days and wait and try and find them. We'd sit there and get in a meditative state. And we would send out our consciousness to go find where the animals were. And then we would bring back our consciousness, and then we would go to them. That's remote viewing. So Anastasia in the books, there's an example of that. So we have animal communication, which we're all having. People who saw a recent show I just did, I had a crane show up on this deck. Before that, a little while earlier, an eagle came down, had a snack, and the eaglets were here, like incredible. Blue jays flying by, dragonflies everywhere. Anastasia was with the author Vladimir in one of the books, and he was asking her how to tap into these supernatural abilities. And she went out to a place, and I believe it was like Singapore. And she found, unfortunately, in that viewing, and she said, this is present time. There are two thugs breaking in. There's a couple, and they're tying them up and they're robbing them. And he said, why can't you do anything? And she said, well, there's natural order to things, and I would be interfering. And he said, how are you going to allow this to happen when you could see it and you could do it? Honey, do you want to take over from here? What she then did and what the effect was and why we had that effect.
I don't remember what she did.
Okay, so she sent out the light ray, just like the Care Bear.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And well, we can talk about things today, but we cover so much, so we'll go back. So she sent out the light ray from her heart, and then that neutralized the thugs, saved the couple, brought it back, but she collapsed to the ground, and the grass around her went brown, and her hair went completely shocking white. Granddad and great granddad came over to put her into a healing because she sent it out, because she interfered with the order of things. Yet now we have the ability, and we've seen the ability with certain things of plasma energy, which can come from us, the individual, or it can come from technology.
Yeah.
And so she leveraged her plasma ray from her heart and sent her light ray out. Amazing.
It is amazing. So one of the things she didn't do, or she let herself get talked into it basically, but it's really important that when you're healing someone or when you're fixing something that you ask, because this is a free will universe, and humans are learning how to be sovereign, you know, so they probably created a contract for that event. Their souls probably created that. So she interfered with that and she changed it. And that's why she didn't feel good after.
Yeah.
Yep.
So DC, Marvel Comics, and superhuman capabilities.
Yes. You definitely want to watch that. So one that I'm watching right now is called The Legends of Tomorrow. And I highly recommend that series because there's so much in there. The med beds are in there. The replicators are in there. The way time actually works is in there. There's so much, and they're just disclosing it all.
Yeah.
So, but those Marvel comics and DC comics, there's tons. So kids are actually ahead of us, honestly. They know more than we do.
They are. And I'm bringing up this book right now, which I had read in 2004. And in this book called Super Learning 2000, still the same cover, hasn't changed. New triple fast ways you can learn, earn, and succeed in the 21st century by Sheila Ostrander and Lynn Schroeder with Nancy Ostrander, authors of Super Learning. Okay. Converse in a new language in 72 hours or less. Pump up your mind and your athletic performance. Change your life course by unlocking the limitless potential of your mind, it says, and use high action thinking to put your career in gear. Okay, Brad, why are you showing this? Because this book documented the studies in the 60s and the 70s and the early 80s of then Soviet, USSR, Russia. And they have it where, and this also in China too, of these kids who have telekinetic capabilities. And then also teaching telekinesis. So if you go back to X-Men, there was one of those, the very first movie of X-Men, there was the guy who was kind of like a little scaly, looked like a blue demon, and he went into the White House, and as soon as he grabbed something, he could teleport somewhere else as soon as he grabbed it, right? They were falling out of the jet, he can teleport to where they are, grab them, boom, they're back on land. this stuff is documented. So we've got super intelligence, unlocking the IQ. Oh, your IQ, maybe you're 130, 140, maybe 200 is amazing. Far more. Unlocking all the capabilities of the human mind, which, by the way, then has that integration with our power chakra and our heart chakra and our crown chakra and our earth star, and then reaching out beyond that and asking the universe and understanding, like in Reiki, how to manipulate. Man, I would like to share some energy with you, more direct it for better healing and for up leveling and uplifting an individual. So we're talking about boosting athletic performance, being more intelligent, telekinesis, remote viewing, and teleporting, and then even walking through walls. There's apparently studies in China. I say apparently because I've seen them. I just don't have them prepped for the show because I went down this one. This tangent, people can find it, of the kids that walk through walls, right? We definitely have in India the yogis who can lay on beds of nails. This has been documented for 200 plus years minimum. Lay on a bed of nails and never get poked, but then take a knife and can pass it right through their arm and nothing happens. And when asked how do they do that, they just say there's a space between everything, and I just visualize the space between everything that'll pass through and believe I won't be hurt. And obviously that takes practice and training. Like we said, you know, leave it to a stunt professional or a trained yogi to do that. We'll just go out and try that right now. Hope you aren't.
No.
These are the superhuman natural capabilities we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Have to remember that. Go ahead. I know you've got so much to add. I'm like, okay, I'll finish up and over to Honey. Yeah.
So it all has to do with our perception and whether we can believe it or not. So that's where it comes from. But also the 3-letter agency that begins with a C, that one released the gateway and process, which actually teaches you how to walk through those walls. But in 5th density, walls don't really exist. Like if an ET wants to come in your house, you may not see them, but they could be standing right next to you, and they don't use the door, they just walk through the wall. So, and my cat has seen them.
Yep.
And he was so funny when he saw them. But it, you know, I think everybody's been visited at this point, whether we know it or not. And I think that they also see us as, they're like caretaking us. They want us to make it, like they're rooting for us, but also they're laughing sometimes too, because we're really kind of crazy. So I'm sure they get entertained by us, but also they really want us to succeed. They're helping us all the time. And they've helped with things that have happened on the planet. As far as like events, they've stepped them back. There's been so much that they've been assisting with. And it's truly amazing how much help they've given.
Yeah, it is. And we thank them for them, you know, because teamwork makes the dream work. And where we go one, we go all is Galactic. And if anybody thinks, Brad, you just came up with that, been saying that a long time on the shows and on the current platform, not Rumble, canceled me a year ago for some of the stuff I was sharing they didn't like. And here we are, right? We are working through Ascension, and it is up to us in the vessel which we incarnated in now to master it, to be part of a community where, whether it's your family, or if the family has decided and turned a blind eye to it, I don't want to hear that, then you have to bless them, because very much like we shared the experience with Anastasia in the book, she interfered. And when she went out and she stopped it, the book also says, which purposely have not shared yet, but it comes back at her like a force. So there's that law of cause and effect. And so she obviously wasn't meant to interfere, but maybe there was a higher level contract of like, well, you're not supposed to, but if you do it with this guy who's eventually going to document the experience and write a book, now where you're going to be an example for all of the reading audience out there, that if you interfere and you go out there and you can stop that it's going to come back at you, and you mess around and you find out. And it took her a while to recover, and yes, she recovered, and there's more books. So it's all great. So the mastering the Ascension allows you to be the master of the universe. And now we're going to go into He-Man and She-Ra, like we talk about that, right? The swords, incredible, right? The Castle of Grayskull, all these cartoons and showing what from Care Bears to He-Man to Anastasia to Marvel Comics and X-Men. But there's all these incredible elements which are there. We've got the levitating yogis. We've got the Buddha, right? The awakened ones, Siddhartha Gautama as an example, many of them through history, an example of a man or a woman who can become enlightened, right? Jesus Christ, Yeshua, is the only one who was brought through his immaculate conception ever. Then there's all these other beings, like we are man, woman, here now. And as Honey shared on her very first Ascension series video, she's like, Pleiadians be like, I'm Pleiadian. Venetians like, I'm Venetian. Telosians like, I'm Telosian. Agarthans, I'm Karash. And then we're going to be like, I'm human. I'm like, wow, I went and met a human today. We sat down and we had some special nectar over at the Galactic bar. So the Star Trek too. The Star Trek is coming in, right? We are seeing that. In Star Trek, again, it was more disclosure. And we're not speaking, I don't mean to bring this forward as a tech side, as a look at all the capabilities which you had, whether it was Guinan and Captain Picard would sit down at the bar and she had thousands of years and then lifetimes of incarnations of experience she could call upon like this. She had access to the Akash. Whom else has that over here? I've never heard of anybody else ever having that. Joking. We have an Akashic Records reader in Honey as well. Being an incarnated angel, she darn well should be. So we have seen all of this, and it's exciting to be alive on the planet at this time. But it's also up to us to do our own work so that we can expand on those gifts. And the more that we all expand together, the faster we get up to that level. And it's just full on peace, love, joy, and party and abundance and all of your divine destined gifts that you wanted to share and the dreams that you've had on what you want to be, do, and have for the world and as an individual. It starts coming in like this.
Yeah. Well, and this is how we become part of the galactic community. Being in the fifth density. So it's really hard for them to come into the third, which we haven't been in the third for a while.
Yep.
Most of us. We've been in the fourth for quite a while, and it's been topsy-turvy land in fourth. But third and fourth are going to go. And we're just going to be in fifth. So it's going to be fifth, sixth, seventh, and eventually eighth will appear because it's in the middle of being built right now. So those densities are you have more room, you feel lighter. It's just like the fake moon stuff, like you could bounce up there, right? So that's going to be how we live. Like it's going to be easier, we're going to be lighter, everything's going to be like just so much more amazing. I can't even imagine how amazing it's going to become because my mind isn't there yet. But that's where we're going, is the expansion of it. So I would just look forward to that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And remember, you signed up for this. Your soul, right? Your sound of unlimited love, soul, source of unlimited love, if that's what resonates even further, is you came in for a job, and I'll leave it with two personal experiences at different points in my life. Number one, signing up to the military, going into the army. Okay, so you signed up for it. Then you sign out, you're like, let's get going. And they're like, report back here in 3 months. And you're like, I'm ready to go. And then you get back and then you do this. And then you go through qualification level, Canadian Army, qualification level 2. Then you go through QL3, infantry battle school, all your practical stuff. And then finally you graduate and you've been going through all of this. And there are times where you're like, and other times you're like, yeah. And then you finally get it. You're like, great, I get to wear the beret. I've got it. Let's get after it. And you're like, there's nothing to do. There's no peacekeeping mission right now on our rotation schedule. You're like, and being a guy who people may say is like, you're an adrenaline junkie. I'm not a junkie of anything. I just enjoy certain things and other people enjoy other things. And so then I'll relate it to Reiki. So, and again, you sign up for it and you have to do the work. And sometimes it's amazing. And other times you're like, I got it. But I know that this is the outcome. And I know with this outcome, I'm actually able to help and serve more and fulfill my purpose. And again, that goes back to the military or also in Reiki. So I received the gift of Reiki by my best friend who had opened a massage therapy practice. It was my best friend's wife. Awesome. I'm godfather to their daughter. And I'm so blessed for that. And then she went, have you ever heard of Reiki? This is 22 years ago. I'm like, I don't know what that is. What are you talking about? She goes, oh, great. I've got this beautiful girl, Maya. She comes in and I'm like, yep, she's beautiful. That's awesome. And she goes, just lay there and relax. I'm like, what is this? She goes, it's hands-off healing. I'm like, healing? I don't need healing. I came in for a massage. Next thing you know, she's telling me stuff she had saw. She's like, I see this little boy throwing this baseball in the air. He's wearing a gray jacket. It's got a red stripe on the back of the shoulder and then a blue patch on the shoulder. And he's throwing it up. He's extremely happy and it's surrounding with trees. I start crying. I'm on a table. And I think, by the way, she has her hands because they're so warm over my stomach. On that table, I open my eyes. She's in the corner with her eyes closed doing stuff like this and telling me, and it sounded like she was right here in my ear. And that was a vision of me as a little boy up at our property, just throwing a baseball up in the air, a tennis ball, actually. Like, what is this? I want to learn. And then Reiki 1 and attunement. And like, whoa, if anybody's had an attunement of Reiki, because I haven't had other ones, who knows, like, that was amazing. Like, I'm sure it was awesome. Go for it. And I'm still open to being a Huna too. So then I'm like, okay, what about 2? What happens at level 2? And then 2, and then go to master. And then you need time to integrate and practice and start mastering things. And then after Reiki master, then there's other levels as well, right? If you choose to be an actual teacher. So here we are in this school of life, in this universe of life. And who knew through this beautiful orchestration of the universe that Honey and I would meet through our mutual friend, Mark. And I hesitate to say his name because they dropped his channel.
Yeah, this is first name.
On the platform not named Rumble either. So maybe we can't say Mark's name, but I did the truth tour with him last year. So a good part of it. And here we are. We have this amazing community of all these Ascension Mastery members from all over the world, from Peru to Argentina, to Kiwi land, right? New Zealand, to Australia, to Sweden, Norway, across all the Americas and South Africa, who are supporting each other, who are sharing, this is my dream for my humanitarian project. Someone going, this is what I did. I used to raise money for philanthropies. And I guess this is part of my path. And I would love to do this. So this is an invitation for all of you to check it out. There's a 7-day trial in the link below for Ascension Mastery member.
Oh. So there is a link below with Brad's internet just froze. 7-day trial. So you can go in and watch the meetings that we've already had. You can get into the Signal chat, and you can also, I don't think you'll probably email in the first time, but you get to send in emails. So that's how that works. And then we also have the Be Your Own Nasara package where you can join it. So you can have Be Your Own Nasara and the Mastering Ascension meetings subscription. So Brad's internet has failed. But I hope you guys all have a beautiful day, and I'm sending you out so much love. Okay, bye.